Hello. The purpose of this video is to explain multi-product break-even analysis using Excel. So for the remainder of this video, I'm going to be working the same problem that I worked on the other video and in class today, but showing you how to do it in Excel, because probably you're going to need to know how to do it in Excel more in your lifetime than, of course, doing it by hand. So just remember that the stuff we do in Excel, you're welcome to do that for the take-home test. You just have to copy it down onto a sheet of paper. So I hope this is helpful, and make sure before you start the video that you download the data that I have posted to Blackboard. Okay? Here we go. I'm going to show you how to do this on Excel, and I'm also going to talk a little bit about rounding and the difference that it makes or doesn't make when you do these computations. So first thing we're going to start with is we've got the data in front of us that represents what we did in class today. I didn't put anything in this column right here, but we'll go ahead and start there. So we're going to start with computing the amount of revenue that we will earn if we sell our forecasted number of sandwiches, which is 7,000. So we hit plus, or you can put an equal sign, either one. We're going to click on our volume, and we're going to multiply that times the price. So that's where we get that 20,650. But I'm going to go right up here, and I'm going to put in here round, just so that we're certain, and we're going to round everything in this problem to 2 decimal places. And the reason we're going to round it to 2 decimal places is because when we use dollars, there really is no such thing as a third decimal place. And so we're going to need to change this to go out so we can see the 2 decimal places if that's what we want. And so there we go, we got it. Now once we have the formula in here, we're multiplying this volume times price. We should copy that formula down like that. And now we've got all of this, all of the amount of revenue that we earn per product here. Now one other thing I want to do is I want to change this so that it is not with the dollar sign there. We're just going to go to a regular number and have it so that it has the comma in it. And we'll get rid of this because we don't need that either. Okay, now in this column here we're going to do the contribution per dollar. Now remember, the reason why we do this is because we want to know, we want to be able to compare the sandwich to the soft drink to the potato salad to whatever based on $1 of sales. As it is right now, we can look and see that, okay, so for every $2.95 we spend about $1.25 on the variable products that go in it, but it's hard for us to compare from one to the other. So what we do here is we just create a little formula, 1 minus, open parentheses again, and we'll do variable cost divided by price, close our parentheses twice. Now here it's rounding to 2 decimal places. That's because I have it set like that. But if we want it to internally do that so that we can all have exactly the same answers, then we'll need to add comma 2 to the end of this, and we'll have it there. So we'll round those down. And remember, these numbers here tell us the contribution per dollar. So we can see that this item here, the potato salad, it makes the largest contribution for $1 of sales, whereas this, the sandwich, makes the lowest contribution per $1 of sales. Now this next column here has to do with the percent of total sales. So here we're going to figure out our 20,650, what percent of the total amount of sales. So since we don't have the total here, we'll start by doing that. So we click on that box, we go up here, we hit sum, and that's the end of that. And we want it to go out to 2 decimal places there. So since there's no odd numbers, we don't need to worry about it. But then when we get up here, we need to figure out what percent of 46,300 is 20,000. So we hit 20,000, we hit divided by the 46,300 and hit return. Now this is the problem I showed you in class. It's set up as dollars and it really needs to be set up as percentages. So we'll just change that. Another thing that's a problem here this formula. If we just go to copy this formula down like we normally would, we'll get some crazy thing here, and that's because the formula will move down relative. But in the case of this denominator, we want it to stay there, so we're going to anchor it, and we anchor it by clicking on it one time and then pressing F4, and it puts these dollar signs in on either side of F. Now when we copy it down, it won't roll. Only the top number rolls down, but the bottom one won't, which is very convenient. Now we're over here to calculate the weighted contribution. This is the number we're trying to get. Remember, we get this number by taking essentially 45% of 58 cents. So we're going to take this and we're going to multiply it by here. And here we can see that our contribution overall is 0.259. Now, we need to round this again because remember we decided we're doing this all at 2 decimal places because dollars and cents are 2 decimal places. So we're going to cut that down here. Whoops, wrong way. And then we're just going to pull it down. And there's all of our weighted averages. Now in this cell, we just want to sum this, so we'll hit this auto sum. And here, we don't really need to tell it to round to 2 decimal places because you can see it already is. But we'll do it anyways, just to be sure. Now that we have this number, this is a critical number for us. This is what's going to go in our denominator here to do our fixed costs, our break-even computation. So we're just type this in here, but it's not going to do anything because this is just a Microsoft equation. We have to go over here and create our formula, so we're going to say equals, and on our numerator we'll have 12 times 2,000 divided by 0.63, and that's going to give us 38,095. So this is slightly different than the other one, and that's because we divided by 0.63. Had we divided by 0.623, then we get the number we got in class. But we're sticking with our 2 decimal places, so we're going to go here with 3, and that's what we get. Now, if we want to calculate the sales per item to meet break even, well, now we just take each of these numbers and multiply it by our weighted factor. So we'll need to anchor again. So we'll take this 38,095 multiplied by our weighted factor, and that's our 9,004. Probably already rounding, but we'll tell it anyways, just to be sure we all get the same answer here. And again, we need to anchor our 38,095 because if we don't anchor it, it'll roll away from us and mess up our calculation. So we anchor it and then we pull it down, and then we can see that we need to make $9,000, $9,900 in sales of sandwiches, $3,000 in soft drinks, $4,000 potatoes, etc. And then the last computation we need to do is figure out how many of these things are we selling, like the numeric number, how many sandwiches. So first thing we do is take the total sales in sandwiches and divide it by 295. Now this number here, that is the total number of sandwiches that we could possibly, that we need to sell in order to make that amount. And really what we would really need to do is round up, because if we rounded down we might be a little bit short, but we're just gonna round it to 0 decimal places because it just doesn't make any sense to round it to point whatever of a sandwich. So there we go, and we're gonna make it look normal like that. And then we can do it again here. I'll just do it one more time. We've got one more calculation that we need to do, but I'll do this here real quick. We're going to round this to 0. And I'm going to just take this guy's format here by clicking that format painter and going like that, and then it makes it look the same. But one more thing I wanted to do here is, this is the number of units that we need to sell in a year, but if we want that to be the number of units to be sold in a month, I think we'll just change this to units per year, and we'll just make a new column. And this one, let's get rid of this 12. I had just made that. So that is the total number of units we sell in a year, and now in this column here, it's going to be units in a month. So this is going to be, it's got the relative calculation here, so it's not right. We want it to be that number, and we want to divide it by 12, because right now it's units per year. So basically 280 sandwiches in a year and 318 soft drinks. So this we need to well, we can just highlight them both and just copy them down. And so now, you know, it's a good idea, I think, to pause for just a second and make sure we know what it is we've done here. It's, you know, it's not just about the numbers. So I think you guys know that, but I'm just going to write a little here at the bottom, which I guess you can't really see that. I'm going to write here that this is the number of units that must be sold per month to break even. And right here, this is the number of units that must be sold in a year to break even. And this one here is the total sales per item that must be sold to break even. So, example, we need to sell $9,904.76 in sales of sandwiches. Right here is the weighted contribution in a $1 per dollar item. So this tells us the WI tells us the weighted contribution per item per dollar, considering total sales and contribution margin. This here tells us the percent of the total sales in this item. So example, we sell 45% sandwiches. And then this one here is our contribution per dollar, like I have here. Example, for each $1 we profit, or you know, extra 70 cents for potato salad. Total revenue by product. Example, we are forecasting to sell 20,650 of sandwiches. Okay, so I hope this clarifies any sorts of questions that you might have had from class or from whatever. I know it got a little loud and crazy in there today, and so it could have been difficult for a variety of reasons. So I hope this clarifies any questions that you might have had. Okay, and I told you in class the homework, but it's also on the bottom of the handout. And I will also put the data for this problem and the other problem on Blackboard, just in case you might want to do it in Excel. Okay, see you soon. Bye.